So we've talked a little bit about people who had gone to warrior camp. Now, before warrior camp, I tried to give as many lessons as I possibly could about being a warrior. For those of you who are new, we use the word warrior as an enlightened warrior, and the definition of enlightened warrior is one who conquers oneself. What is it? One who conquers oneself. So it definitely has nothing to do with power over people. It's power over yourself, your true self here, being your true self. So the warrior's way is the way of what? Action. The way of what? Action. One more time, twice as loud. Action. The warrior's way is the way of action. And what I want to talk to you tonight about is, again, this idea of developing a habit. What's the word? Habit. A habit, a bias towards action in everyday life, in what you're, and being able to reach your dreams because of this. So, the first principle I want to share with you, and again, you may have heard this before, you may have seen this, you may be living by it, but I'll tell you what, these are things that I personally live by that seem to really work in my life. There is no difference between you and I. We are all brothers and sisters under the Great Spirit. And all I do is I share with you things that have worked for me and continue to work for me. And when I do these principles, my life works. And when I don't do these principles, my life sucks like anybody else. So the first principle that I really want to share with you tonight is the principle of, please read it with me together, be willing to make more mistakes. More mistakes. The most successful person I personally know says the reason that he is successful is because he knows, of all the people he knows, he's the one who's willing to make the most mistakes. You know the story about Babe Ruth, right? Babe Ruth used to be the home run king, and his home run number was 61 homers. Was that it? Yeah? Singles. Was it 60 or 61? I think it was 61. And anyway, so everyone knows that, before last year, he was the home run king for God. What was it, 40, 50 years or something?
60, and then Roger Maris had 61. That was never...
Oh, right, okay. And how long was he the home run king? Yeah, like 50-something years. But everybody knew Babe Ruth. But what most people don't realize about Babe Ruth is he was also the strikeout king. He had more strikeouts per season than anybody else. And so he basically swung at the ball. That's the way to put it. Successful people are willing to risk making mistakes. They don't take mistakes personally as an affront to their self-worth. And they use mistakes as their primary form of learning. One of the EWT members in Toronto had a really good way of putting this. Like Vancouver, Toronto is a movie town. They make a lot of movies there. And she is in the movie business. And so what she was talking about was her position in the movie business, and what she does is she's that person who holds that clicker. You know that what's the thing called? It goes like this. What's it called? The slate, right? And it goes take one, take two. And so she realized in holding that several years ago that every take was a mistake. Every time they had to do a retake, they used to call it a mistake, right? Instead of retake, mistake. So she started getting, it served her incredibly in her life because she would not take mistakes in a poor way. It would just be a mistake, right? Mistake. Yeah. Exactly, she wouldn't have a job, right? So recognize that there's nothing wrong with that. It's, can you imagine an actor or an actress, they say, the director says, cut, let's do this again, take two. Like, oh no, I'm terrible, I'm the worst actress, I don't know what to do with myself, I should shoot myself, maybe I shouldn't be in the acting business, I don't know. Can you imagine that? All the director said was, let's take it again. You would think that, it only makes, nobody would do that, right? They're not a professional. They wouldn't be even in the business, of course. But, well, you know what? In Eyes Wide Shut, didn't they say there was something like 62 takes of one of the primary pieces there? One of the kissing scenes. Yeah, right. I would have paid the guy to do that too. Yeah, let's take that again. There is a formula that I've used for many, many years that has served me. I learned this a long time ago from a couple of other speakers too, Jim Rohn being one of them. And it's called the Ultimate Success Formula. And I really believe in this, so I want to share with you or remind it for you. And the first stage is what? Read it with me, please. Action. One more time, twice as loud. Action. The next one is feedback. Then, and then NGU. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what you do is you go out there and you take some action in the real world. I didn't say you think about it more, you talk about it more, you plan it more. I said you take some real action in the real world, okay? And then what invariably happens is you are going to get some what? Feedback based on the action that you took. When you have that feedback, you can then go ahead and make the what? Sometimes many corrections, right? So you take some action, you get some feedback, you take some correction action. Then what do? You go back to what? You take some new action. And then you get some more, and then you make some new. Do you see this loop over here? It's a pretty nice loop, isn't it? Except for one problem. I mean, it makes so much sense, right? Raise your hand if you think this makes a lot of sense. Logically, you'd say, God, it'd be pretty hard to fail if I did that, right? So it makes a lot. How come people don't do that? You got it. Their story around the feedback and the correction. Oh my God, I took some action. It didn't work so well. Oh, I'm a failure. I'm no good. I shouldn't be doing that. Hey, you took some action. You get a little feedback, you make a correction. It is very cut and dried. It is extremely mechanical process to create success. Did you know that? If you ask anybody who's really successful, you'll find they don't have a heck of a big story around the whole thing. They just do it. Okay, you take some action, you make some corrections, you take some new actions. It's a mechanical process. All the other stuff is your BS. It's your BS that's stopping you from this. It's your BS that's stopping you from the result of success. Does that make sense to anybody here? All the other stuff in your head that you have around this is your story. And if your story is not supporting you, I highly recommend understand this is a mechanical process. Success is extremely mechanical. The less attached you are to it, the more mechanical it is. That's why people who are not attached to success, they're the most successful people. If they don't have a whole story around it, huge emotions around it, all that, you find they're fairly successful people. And they're pretty happy with it too. Why? No big story. Hey, here it is. I take some action. It works or it doesn't work. Doesn't work, I make a correction. I take some new action. No big deal. Okay? I don't go bury my head in the sand because I got a little feedback that was a little negative. Or a little, and if you take it negative, hopefully you're looking at it as a learning experience. You got a little feedback, person didn't like something, a lot of people agree with that, great, you make some correction. I was talking about with you before. Get it out there, get a bunch of people to come, let them hear what they have to say. Make some corrections right there, right on the spot. Next time you'll be a little better. I went to a guy's seminar, I'm not going to mention any names here, that about a year ago, it stunk. It was terrible. And this guy was Mr. Big Shot. When I was talking to him, I thought he was like the world's God's gift, the way he was talking. I went to his seminar. I told a few people, friends of mine, to come. We went, and I was ready to walk out after 20 minutes. It was terrible. It was boring, and it was like the information was as old as cows. And I mean, it was like, wow, man, I am out of here at lunch. It was the only thing I could do was just hang out till lunch and then let them know that I had something else I needed to do. I went again about a month ago. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. He was incredible. The information was totally revised. He had taken some of my thoughts around the information with accelerated training techniques and colored pencils. People were running, jumping. It was an amazing event in less than a year. Okay? He had just making correction after correction after correction after correction. Can you do that? Can you do that? I'm asking a question. Sure you can. As long as you don't get hung up on the BS around, oh, I got a little negative feedback. You understand what I'm saying? Welcome it. Just go for the correction. If you make success mechanical, you'll be successful faster than you can possibly believe. You know what's really interesting is that our false self, our ego mind self, because it's a protective mechanism, it doesn't really want to hear too many bad things about us, hello, or the things that we offer which represent us. It's normal. It wants everything in our life to go in a straight line. You know, this is what I want. I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm going to put some action into it. And it wants everything to just go tickety-boo, 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 right online, right? I mean, when you go into something, how many people go into it with like, boy, this is probably going to be disaster, you know? You're thinking, you know, it should go well. You want it to go well, right? You want everything to go pretty right. Yes or no? True? Yes. You know what? That's a very, very unnatural expectation. Very unnatural expectation to have. Why? Well, first of all, straight lines. I don't know if I mentioned this at Warrior Camp. You know there's no such thing as a straight line in the universe? Physics, read up on your physics. There is no such thing as a straight line in the entire universe. You want to draw a straight line? Go to your ruler, draw a straight line, look at it under a microscope. No such thing. No straight lines in this universe. How'd you like that? And yet, what you do has got to be perfectly in line, or, oh, I don't think this is for me. This is too hard. I don't know about that. Oh, it's not meant to be. You know, one little iota off track and already we're out of it. You understand what I'm talking about here? You have to understand that that is an unnatural expectation. This is a little bit more natural. In 1969, a very important event occurred. And this is the Earth and this is the Moon. What happened? Yeah, we put a man on the Moon, basically. Humans put a man on the Moon. So this is the Earth, this is the Moon, this is a basic course, correct? Okay, now, how did this course actually look? Well, it came from over here, but it didn't continuously over here. Basically, once it went around here, this was basically what the course looked like. When they tracked it on a computer, they found that what happens is, like when you drive your car or a sailboat, you're constantly, what's the word? Adjusting, constantly adjusting. And so they actually tracked how often the spacecraft, computerized, because it's one of the few things that's computerized that way, was actually on track. How often was it on track? Who can tell me? What percent of the time? It was on track 3% of the time. So one of the things you learn here is that, first of all, correction is natural and to be fully expected in every endeavor that you take on. Business, money, relationships, personal development. How many people have noticed this? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Even in this program, notice, yes or no? Come to Warrior Camp, then you take a couple of steps back, but then you have to, you know what I'm saying? It's natural, but what do? We beat ourselves up mercifully. Oh my God, I took a step back. I went a little off course. Here's the sweet part about this. This is what I love. It was on course how many percent? And it reached the Moon, which means that basically what this tells you is that you can be off course 97% of the time and still reach your destination. Isn't that freeing? I like that. Give it a hand. I think that's a hot thing to understand. That you can be off course 97% of the time and still reach your destination. All you have to do is keep going what? Correcting. Just keep adjusting. That's all. Just keep adjusting. It's cool. Now, that's why perfectionists have a little bit of a hard time being truly successful. Now, be really honest with yourself here. Raise your hand if you have a tendency to be a bit of a perfectionist. Okay, a lot of people in this room, that's great. And what is perfection? Perfectionism, what is it? It's actually a form of fear. It's a form of fear. Fear of failure, fear of disapproval, even fear of success. Often perfectionists have quite a bit of feeling of unworthiness behind that. Does that make sense at all to y'all? Hello? Am I hitting it home with anybody? Because I want to talk about this for a second. So it's a form of unworthiness. And the unworthiness, another way to say this, so here's this person who is a perfectionist, and they look at it as, they wonder why they have to have everything in place and everything's got to be just right. Because they're trying to fill what they don't feel they have. So they feel a little on the unworthy side, which means that they are what? Not good enough. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Now that's fine and dandy. I mean, it's not going to get you a lot of kudos in the world and whatnot. It's going to make life a little more difficult. But here's the issue as to why the perfection stuff doesn't work. Because if the source, the person, they are now the source, correct? The source takes some action. They do something. If the source is not good enough, then everything they do has to be what? Not good enough. That's the seed. If you are a person who feels not good enough, that's why you're a perfectionist, by the way, then everything you do is automatically not good enough. Never good enough. You can't win, my friends. Because you're focusing out here on doing these things right. That's not where the problem is. The problem's right there. And when you can handle this a little bit better with the things that you're doing and by coming here and the camps, you can handle this a little bit better, this takes care of itself. Now here's the other one that's a little sadder. Not only does everything you do not good enough, but everyone around you is also never good enough. See, perfectionists always find a little problem with everybody. They have to, because they have a problem with themselves. You can't give what you don't got. And what you got is all you can give. If you look for problems in yourself, you look for problems in everyone else. Make sense at all? Hello? Yeah. Okay, so that should really be something for a lot of you people. If a lot of you people are having a hard time finding a relationship, being in a solid relationship, making a relationship work, I want you to look back over here to this. Because if you're that type of person where that's happening for you, there is a good chance that the relationship and the other person is not good enough simply because you don't feel good enough about yourself. Does that make sense to y'all here? So take a look at the source here. Scott.
I don't know if it'll help me who I am. My best is good enough.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that one. My best is good enough. Yeah, it's going to have to be, right. Yeah, see, your best is going to is not only is it good enough, it's going to have to be good enough because it's your best. What else are you going to do? Yeah. Right? And the other thing is just, you're going to do a lot better making some mistakes and correcting and getting it out there than you are wallowing in the mind frick. What is it called? Paralysis by analysis. We all think too much, right? And we don't do a lot. And so we think about it and think about it and think about it, and not much happens. Okay, so this leads us to a couple of other pieces here. Now, big prizes to anyone who can guess what this is. Ducks in a row. Thank you. That was great. So you get a huge prize. You're the first one to guess that. This is what? Ducks in a row. It's also what most people wait for before taking action. Waiting for all their ducks to be in a row. Successful people do not wait for all their ducks to line up before they do anything. They have a different motto, which I'm sure you've seen before, so I will remind you because I do my best to live by this. Their motto is this. Ready? Read it with me. Ready, fire, aim. Which is very similar to what we just talked about. Get ready the best you can in the allotted amount of time. Take a shot, and then readjust your aiming. How many people have ever been at an archery situation or at a riflery? Raise your hand. You could sit there for 6 hours and not take a shot and make a perfect, and then when you finally shoot, you'll miss, right? Isn't it better to just, do the best you can, take a shot, see what happened, and then adjust? Isn't that true? And that's the problem in our society. We have such a stigma on failure, quote unquote, that we're not willing to do anything. Especially anything big, anything that we really want to go for. God forbid we make a little mistake. So I'm suggesting that you go for it and then adjust along the way. You have to realize the time will never be absolutely perfect. There'll always be something up in the air before those ducks line up. And, you know, even notice that I live very close to the beach, and I walk there a lot, and I noticed that, how many people notice that ducks actually do line up very often, right? Except for one thing. Throw a little pebble or a little piece of bread their way. What happens to that lineup real quick? It's mad chaos in 2 seconds, right? How many people notice the same thing in life? Doesn't change happen all the time? So here you are, waiting and waiting and waiting for those ducks to line up just perfectly before you take this big action. And they finally do, and it lasts a whole 4 seconds. Between a little change comes in. Oh, there we go. This person kind of squealed out of there a little bit. Oh, my ducks! 4 years I've been waiting! Yeah, and then the lineup turns to chaos. So the lesson is that perfect lineups, if they ever occur, are always temporary and not worth waiting for. There's no question that timing, preparation are important, but a lot of people use that mostly as a put-off, an excuse. You know, I'll start a new business when I have the right amount of capital. Most businesses go out of business because they don't have enough capital, right? That's bullshit. That's not true at all. It's poor management. One of the things about management is to be creative about having capital, for sure, depending on what business you're in. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather see you start a little smaller and get into the game and learn it along the ropes and grow from there than wait till you have the right amount of capital to make your first shot and blow. You know what? I expect to blow my first shot. I don't know about you, and maybe that's why it happens more often. I expect to blow it the first time. Why would I spend all my capital waiting for it? I think I'll start a little smaller, make my mistakes, and grow it from the inside when I can see what the hell's going on in the business or the arena. Does that make any sense at all? I don't have enough capital. Well, what the hell are you starting? Like a big restaurant. Have you started a small restaurant? No, I don't want to do that. You're finished. Go work for somebody, for a waiter for a while and see what maybe that'll help you out a little. Okay. We'll start marketing once we have that new brochure out. Right? Is that right? Is that what you're waiting for? Forget it. You're gone. You're over. Once we get the office set up, that's when we'll really start moving. You're finished. I can tell a loser so quick, because they've always got a reason that they're waiting, right? You know what I'm talking about here? Waiting for this, waiting for that. When this comes in, then that's going to happen. Waiting for this, that. You're a loser. You're over. Finished. Because I know these people ask me to invest all the time, every day. What are you waiting for? Oh yeah, when this comes through, goodbye. How about this one? We'll start a family once we're financially secure. Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask a question. In this room, if your parents waited till they were financially secure, how many would be here? We'd have a population in Canada of 4. Yeah. All the 4 millionaires here. That's great. It just doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense at all. We're laughing about it, but people live their lives like that. How many people can relate to what I'm talking about here? Waiting and waiting. I have a question for you. I want you to write down the answer to this. There's a little exercise for you. You're going to complete it at home, but this is a very important exercise. This exercise could change your life right tonight. What do you want to do in your life that you are waiting for the right situation? Be honest. Or that you have been up until tonight, whatever. What do you want to do, even a bigger thing, it could be something important to you, in your life that you're waiting for the right situation? Just the right one to come along. Y'all know what that is. It's pretty quick to come to it usually. It's something that you want. It's something that you want that you don't have. So the question is, you must be waiting for something. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, the part B of this question now is, what is it that you're waiting for? What's this perfect duck line look like for you? Go ahead and just write it down, because you'll notice something very quickly of this. You're waiting for something. What is it? Identify it. And based on your true experience, what's the chances of that actually happening at any time in the next 45 millenniums? Just the way you want it, you know? And now the question is, what would happen if you actually went for it right now? You know, let's give you a week to prepare, and then we're shooting the bullets, going for it. What would happen? You got 1 week and then you're off doing it. So let me ask you this question now. Give me the answer. What would happen if you fired now? You might make a mistake, yeah? And that's true. So let's go with that one. So you fire now. There you go, you did it. What's the next thing that's going to happen? You're going to get some, then you're going to make then you're going to take some more, then you're going to get some, you're going to make some. What's going to happen at the end of this? You keep doing it, what's going to happen at the end? A lot more than what you got going now, I'll tell you that. In reality, not the BS that's going on up here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Fire. When? Now. Not when you think you're ready. You know what? Doing things when you think you're ready. Remember I told you this from the very beginning. Most of the people came in this room on a scale of 0 to 10 at a satisfaction level of less than 10, or they wouldn't have come here. So they were 4, 5, 6, whatever. Let's give it a 5 as an example. Those are your methodologies. Those are your former habits, your programming. What we do in here is hopefully twist things around, give you a new way of looking things. So your waiting methodology, what you're waiting for, you're so certain you need to wait, you're not ready, blah, 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 blah. That whole story has given you the result of a 5 life. You can see it. That's the way you've been thinking. I think like that sometimes. Thank God I catch myself quickly. So I'm offering you a way to move up to here. And what's that? Well, it's going to be different than the way to get to here, isn't it? Well, the difference is whatever you have as your reason for waiting is your story. It's basically useless to anybody else, and I want you to know it doesn't exist. In the real world, there's no, your story isn't painted on some pillar somewhere. I doubt it, unless you painted it there. It's not in any tablets, you know, it's not number 5 in the commandments. I doubt it. You know, it's not in any burning bush, it's not written in the sky. It's just in your head. You made it up. And now you're living into it. And it's giving you a 5 life. May I suggest you try a different way. Take action when? Oh, but I'm not ready. Good. Fire. Go for it. Make some corrections. Do it again. You will get so much further in your life with that methodology. Even if you get some hard knocks along the way, I guarantee you on this one, okay? I always say, don't believe a word I say. I guarantee this. The chances are 99.999% that in a year, by taking this methodology and utilizing it, you'll be so much further ahead than all of the preparation you needed. Who made up the idea of what preparation you needed? You did. There's your 5. A warrior or a successful person has trust in themselves. They trust that they can handle whatever it has to be handled in the moment. And that means the time that they take the action, they know that they're going to mess up, they have a strong suspicion of it, they're willing to take that, and they're willing to make the corrections and still continue on. Okay? They trust themselves that they can make it. All right. Let's go to the number 3 piece here that I think is essential that I want to talk about tonight. By the way, for how many does this hit home? Okay. Number 3 is taking the habit and consistently doing what? Stretching yourself. Stretching your what? Your comfort zone. Your what? Your comfort zone. Whatever, because remember, we're talking all about the same thing. You're uncomfortable taking the action now. Why? Why are you uncomfortable taking the action now? You're out of your comfort zone, but why are you uncomfortable? Maybe you did not do it before, yes. What else? Yeah. Who created your comfort zone? You did. What created your comfort zone? Your mind. Your programming, your filters. That's what created it. Now, one of these days you're going to figure out in this course what we're doing here is that I'm going to ask you to stop believing your mind. Stop believing your programming, that that's who you are. We've discussed it 1,000 times. You are not your mind. If you're not your mind, then you're not what's in your mind. You're not what your mind's saying. I have a new one. Remember I said earlier, don't believe a word I say? I have a new one for you. Don't believe a word you say. That's right. And don't believe the thoughts you think. When you can understand that you don't need to put so much credence and honor into those thoughts that bubble up in your head, you'll be a free person. Those thoughts that bubble up are not who you are. They're only bubbles. And what people do is we follow those bubbles around as if we're them. And usually they're very disempowering bubbles. They're like negative clouds. And we see a negative cloud bubbles up, and we make sure we're underneath it. It's going away. I better get underneath it. There's that thought. We make sure we stay under them. What would happen if you just let them fly away? No, you can't do that because your mind's telling you this is you, who you are, and your thoughts are important. You know what? Your thoughts are bullshit. My thoughts are bullshit. We made them up. They're nothing. They're bubbles. When you can not have to be right anymore, you can be free. I'm working on a talk right now. It's called power thinking, right? I forget the exact wording, but it's something to do with power thinking is a mental science that allows you to break out of the prison of the conditioned mind and come from true choice in the present moment. Power thinking is a mental science that allows you to break out of the prison of the conditioned mind and come from true choice in the present moment. That's power. Power is when you don't have to be who you were yesterday or 2 years ago or whatever your mind is telling you. That's power, when you can choose in the present moment of... I had a breakfast meeting this morning with a lady out of Edmonton who wants to do some promotion for us. She calls me at... first of all, I didn't get finished last night till about... by the time we cleaned up and talking to people at 12:30. Got right back to my hotel. Reg likes to talk, and so 2:30 I'm crawling up to my room, and I told her to give me a call in the morning. She calls me at 7 o'clock, bright and early. She goes, "Are you a morning person?" I said, "You know what, Joan, I have a motto." She says, "What's that?" I said, "I'm whatever I have to be at the time." She says, "I like that." I said, "Good, you can use it. You can be it." I said, "I'm whatever I have to be at the time." That's a warrior's way, isn't it? You have to be something different on the bottom than you have to be at the top, right? Right. You can't be tied into any one way. You have to be present in the moment and come from true choice. If you don't come from the moment, if you can't trust yourself, then you're coming from when? From the... See, the mind is based in the what? In the past. It's just a bunch of programs. Are you getting this at all?
Yeah. I am whatever.
I am whatever I need to be in the moment.
Or I choose to be.
Whatever I choose to be, yeah. But true choice, most people are not running on choice. You're running on automatic based in the past. And what I'm offering you is some opportunities to change your ways of thinking just a little bit. And the first thing I want to make sure you understand is that I do not honor your thoughts. And I do not honor my thoughts. Your thoughts are not right, and they're not wrong. And my thoughts are not right, and they're not wrong. They're just my story. They're just my filters, just my programs. And when I am attached to those thoughts, I have to run based on them, and that's based in the past. And when I am unattached to those thoughts and beliefs, I can be free to be whatever I need to be right now. Make any sense at all to anybody? Hello? Okay, we're getting to some deep stuff. So yeah, stretching your comfort zone. Why? Because your comfort zone, as I've mentioned several times, but there's some new people here, your comfort zone equals your income zone. You can't make any more money than you're comfortable with, or you're comfortable taking the actions to create. If you want to make more money, you have to take new actions to create more money. Does that make sense at all? And also, your comfort zone is equivalent in ratio to your happiness zone. You want to make more money and be happier? Expand your comfort zone. This is what your comfort zone looks like. Where was it? There it is. You're looking at it. You want to go to a 7? You better get into a new comfort zone. A 7 zone. You want to go to 10? I'll tell you, that zone looks very different. And one of the things it looks like is you take action before you're ready. And you go for it. You just go for it. And then make some corrections along the way. So stretch. Do things that you normally wouldn't do. I'm talking emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. Expand your comfort zone. You don't like spiders? Pick one up. You have a hard time communicating with, asking for things? Where's my man here, my asker here? Asking for things? Ask everybody for everything. I request this, I'd like this, I'd like this, like that. You'll be a different person. You have a hard time communicating your feelings with people, especially people that you're intimate with? Start communicating your real feelings. Yeah, you're going to take some heat? Yeah, so what? Make the correction. Have them make a correction too, maybe. Have them honor that you're willing to express your true feelings. You're normally quiet? Be loud. You're normally loud? Be quiet. You understand what I'm saying? Do something different. Expand your life. Expand your beingness. So stretch. And the last thing was this piece on NGU, which I'm sure most of you know what that stands for, but I'll tell you a quick story that I'm sure most of you have heard before, but it really puts an emphasis on it. After World War II, Winston Churchill was asked to do a speech for the graduating class of one of the colleges there. And it's a very famous speech because he was given an hour to do this speech. And when he came up from his seat, everybody was waiting, all the media was there. This was the first time after the war he'd done anything like this. And he stood up, and here's what his speech sounded like. His speech said, "Never give up. Never give up. Never, never, never." Turned around, walked off the stage, and left the building. That was his 1 hour speech. The whole thing took about 12 seconds. He was asked by the media the next day, how could you do that? How could you give a 12-second speech instead of an hour? He said, I told them everything that I need to know to succeed in life. With an exclamation mark. Here's the beauty of this. Let's go back to our little formula. Remember our formula. What is it? Action. Read this with me, guys. Come on. Action, feedback, correction, never give up. So let's do this loop here. Action, feedback, correction. 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 Okay, when do you want to stop? Never! You don't stop! You don't stop! You know, one of the beautiful things about life that I've really, really appreciated is the fact that in the game of life, we play only against ourselves. We're the player, we're the opponent, and here's the beautiful part. We're the referee! Who tells you when you won or lost? Who tells you if you can go on or not? You know, in boxing, there's usually a 3 knockdown rule. You get knocked down 3 times in the ring, the fight's over, it's over. In baseball, there's 3 strikes and you are. But in life, you can try something and you could take how many swings? 3 swings and it doesn't work out, so you can what? You can take 3 more. You can take 5, you can take 20, you can take 50. You can take 100, you can take 1,000, you can take 5,000. Who is the only one that can call you out of the game? You. Just you. If you are not willing to call yourself out, you can't do anything but succeed. Tell me, maybe educate me. Help me understand how this could work. If you make this a mechanical situation, action, feedback, correction, action, feedback, correction, action, feedback, correction, and you never give up, and all you do is take more action and keep on correcting, what are the chances that you're going to succeed at what you want? Very hard. Can anyone see that your chances are less than 10% here? Can anyone see that it's pretty hard not to succeed? Would you all agree with that? So get rid of your story, keep doing this, and never give up. How many people can see that that is a way of pretty certain success, as certain as you're going to ever see here? How many people are willing to start doing that? So what are the 4 principles we talked about tonight? We talked about number 1 was be willing to what? Make more mistakes. Number 2 was what?
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Number 3 was what? Stretch. And number 4 is? Use this formula. For how many people is tonight important? Very good. I want you to take a look at your notes. Whatever you said you were waiting for, I can tell you right now, chances are real good that ain't going to happen. And what you say you're waiting for is a bunch of BS. Cut through it. Draw a line right through that thing. And say, do it now. Give yourself a week. A week's more than, you're going to have, you're not going to be back here for a month. So let's hear about some stuff. I want to hear about some stuff for next month, okay? I want to hear about the things that you did before you were ready. And yeah, if you make some mistakes, I want to hear about those. You have some successes, I want to hear about those. It doesn't make a difference, because you're going to make a correction either way, aren't you? Hello? So I want to hear about the corrections you're intending on making or you're already making. But what I don't want to hear is you didn't do anything towards your vision or your goal. Because you were waiting for the right time. I'll tell you when the right time is. A week today. That's it. That's as long as you've got. A better time is tomorrow morning. So for those of you who have to really prepare, the ones that have been waiting like 10, 15 years, you have all week to get ready now. The rest of you, tomorrow morning. Let me know what you did.